The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today presenting, we have Rick Altino, Carlos Vela, and Vic, who I should be able to say your last name because we're co-employees, but I will butcher it, so I'm not. I ask that you use the question box during today's presentation, and all questions will be answered at the end. Your line is muted. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Rick, because we've got a lot to show.
Good afternoon, everybody. Rick Altino, and I am sort of the, I'm not the keynote speaker here. I'm going to intro the concept of what we're going to show you, and I have a couple experts on the line who are going to walk through the product and give you more of the demo and technical information, and we're going to go from there. But I wanted to be able to introduce InterForm to you. InterForm is a company that's been around for a while. It was started in 1987. It's been in Europe. We were talking to Ross Freeman, talking about our current form packages and what we do inside of XA, and if there was any plans to move this product forward, or any product forward, and get it a little bit more modernized. And basically, after we talked for a little bit, he mentioned the fact that InterForm basically owns the European market for XA. It is a modern product. It is not iSeries based, so it can do forms for all of your applications. It can do labels, it can do barcode, it can do all the functions that we need, and it's a Windows-based product, so it's very easy to use and easy to configure the product that we're doing. InterForm already has 3,800 customers around the world, so this is very well established. They have 50 different partners. They deal with a lot more than just XA, but we have established a very good relation with InterForm, and in the United States, we are the first implementation partner that will be working with InterForm to help the XA customers who are interested in going into this type of product. So, as I mentioned, InterForm has been dealing with Infor for a while. They have a number of different ERPs and software products that they work with. XA auto release, I want to point that out because we have a number of automotive customers, are already established product within InterForm. They have a number of other different applications that you can see on your screen. Obviously, we're emphasizing on XA today. This is an XA webinar, so we're going to touch on how that's going to work for us in that environment. However, a number of our customers, maybe many of you online right now, have been dealing with other forms companies. And in fact, up until very recently, Formtastic has sort of been the form company recommended by XA for the XA product line. So it is something that exists out there. This is not going away. You can continue to use these products if you choose to use them. InterForm, however, is now going to be the partner of record moving forward. InterForm is a nicer product. It's more modern. It's being upgraded even as we speak. And right now, the main competitor, most of our customers that are using a forms package, is Formtastic. But Formtastic also requires add-on products in order to create some labels, in order to create automotive requirements, in order to be able to distribute the forms after you create them, they're add-on products. InterForm is all-in-one. So we're very excited about where this is. We are already using this product at 2 XA customers. Guide has 2 customers using this. And you're going to be talking to a couple of our consultants who have experience in creating it. InterForm is also very cooperative in the fact that as we have made requests for changes in the product to better support XA, they have been responsive and have responded in very short order. So we're very happy with the relationship and this product moving forward. So the first question is, what is forms management? As you're looking at these, how are you go about managing your forms, and how do you handle distribution? So forms management is creating a form. If you have pre-printed forms and you are using a dot matrix or an impact printer, You're still creating a form. You're doing it the old-fashioned way, but you are formatting by having the impact printer print inside the forms that are on your system. Then you distribute them. You mail them. You fax them. You email them. That's the distribution piece. And then you save them. For most people, your system probably looks something like this. I know where I used to work before, years ago, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and I was a consultant. Before I was a consultant, this was our archiving method. So it is something that we are used to doing. It takes up a lot of floor space. It's very expensive. And in fact, I would guess the cost of just printing pre-printed forms every year is pretty substantial, much less the cost of printing them, filing them, distributing them, archiving, looking things up, pulling them back out, refiling them back again. If you really did that kind of analysis, you spend a lot of money on paper forms. InterForm gives us a different option. So what do we do with InterForm? Coming out of XA, first thing we want to do, we just talked about the 3 functions of forms management. We format. We still can generate paper. The thing is, you don't have to have pre-printed forms. Everything can be generated inside the system. You can put your logos on it. You can format it any way you want. It's laser quality. It uses any kind of color or capability you need. It is full functional, capable to print forms. There are no special drivers that you need for any of your printers. We use the drivers that are inherent in your printer. So anything that's on your network, anything that's on the iSeries, we can tie that in and we can print directly from XA using InterForm. The next piece, of course, is creating PDFs, because we don't always want to actually create printed forms. Sometimes we want to email them. Well, there's no reason. I have a lot of customers that print a form right now, then scan it, turn it into a PDF, and then manually email it. So what we have now is the ability to actually create the PDF direct. And once that's done, we can email it without ever printing the form. So I might have 100 invoices I'm about to print. I have default email addresses in the system. When I print those 100 emails, maybe 90 of them get emailed, and I only get 10 documents that I actually print. So that's all automated within the system. We can also create advanced PDFs, signature forms, controlled forms, the new capabilities that are available in PDF. The next piece is the able to communicate those, distribute. Now, actually, I just got ahead of myself. We can create data forms also. So not just PDFs, not just printed forms, we can put this in Excel format. We can put this in XML format. We can put this any way you like and send it out as data, not necessarily just as a form. So now we've printed it, we've created the PDFs, we have created the data form, now we can distribute it. We have multiple methods. You can send it directly to email. You can send it directly to fax. These things can be automated. If you want to put in a mail merge of some sort, we can do that too. All of those capabilities directly out of the system. And then finally, archiving. No longer have a need to print that form and put it in a filing cabinet. We can auto-connect it back into XA. You print an invoice, would you like to see it? We can put it as an attachment in XA. Would you like, when you're looking at a customer number, to be able to see all the invoices that we've printed? Would you like to see their original purchase orders? All of those things XA can do as a part of attachments inside the IDF. Now, XA has gone a lot further. I'm not going there on this presentation, but we now have document management through ION. We already have a paperless shop floor through MES. So XA really, truly can be paperless at this point in time. So with that being said, that's the introduction. We want to show you now how to create the forms, how to distribute the forms. I'm going to hand this over to Vic right now, who's going to go through some of the demo of creating a form so you can understand what that is. and we'll come back and wrap up in a little bit. So for now, Vic, I'm sending this over to you.
All right, thanks, Rick. All right, hi everybody. My name is Vic Belebchek. Got that, Elsa? Belebchek? Okay. Let me talk a moment about how the InterForm NG software works. So when a user prints a form in XA, it could be a purchase order or a customer invoice, or even a custom report that you may have designed in-house that uses an external printer file. InterForm looks at that spool file and creates an XML document out of it. And let me show you here real quick. Here is an example of one of those XML documents, what they look like. So that XML document contains all the attributes, all the fields that would have printed otherwise. So that is the raw input that is used in a template. And InterForm templates then merge that raw data from the XML document and give you the finished output however you'd like to see that. So what I'm going to do now is show you how we can design a template. So what you see here on my screen now is the InterForm designer that's used to create templates. And there's 3 different panes. The pane on the left is the actual template we're going to be building. The middle pane is actually a previewer that will show you in real time exactly what that output is going to look like. And then on the right is an XML document. What we normally do is we grab one of those XML documents that was created by InterForm on the IBM I, and we copy it down to the PC because this designer that you're looking at is really a PC application that's running on my laptop. And we use that XML document to actually pre-populate or populate the form in real time. So let's look at an example. This is a sales order that I created a couple of weeks ago. It's an acknowledgement, and as you can see, it looks very similar to the standard XA order acknowledgement. I did that on purpose, so it would be very familiar to everyone. And we'll go through here and we'll use this as a test bed to show you some of the things we can do. I put my name up here in the corner. That's actually coming from the XML document. Notice that when I clicked on that form in the preview pane, in the template, it actually positions us to that same field. And then down here in the bottom left, it shows what the XPath is, since it's reading an XML document. And if we look over here on the right pane, we'll see that, yes, that's where it got it from right there. It's that user attribute. So as you can see, this job information section, it was automatically added to the XML doc, and it contains a lot of good information regarding the spool file as it was created in XA. It may not be real useful to us right now in the template, but it's very useful because there's a workflow that InterForm uses to determine where the output should go. And so depending upon the user or the spool file or number of copies, you can use all that information to make sure it gets to the right place with the right number of copies. Okay, so we have here a document that's nice, but we're going to jazz it up a little bit. You have the ability to use image files to have them automatically merge into the output. So what we're going to do is those image files in InterForm speak are really called resources. So what we have to do, first of all, is define the resources as far as what is this image file we want to use, where is it located. So we define it there and we give it a name. And then after that, what we can do is we can say, all right, I'm going to add that. So right where my name is right now, we're going to cover that up because we don't really need it. So there's, as you can see, a whole bunch of icons over on the left. We're going to take the one that when we hover over it, it says insert image element. And so then it inserts it. It gives us crosshairs. So we can come right over here to the preview pane and say, where do we want to put it? So I just left click there, and it has now created a new attribute in the template called image. And so I just go down there and say, okay, of the images I have already, the resources I've already defined, it's this one that I want. And there it is. It's just that simple. Now, to help us, if we need it, to align things so it looks really nice, we can go up to the top and we can click this little grid button. It just shows us a grid so that helps us line things up if we need it. You can always just click on that particular element and then just drag it around. So I'm going to move it up a little bit so it covers my name all the way. So that's how easy it is to add an image to an existing template. Here are some of the other things we can do. Down here at the bottom, if you notice, every time I put my cursor on a field, it shows me the length of that field so that, for instance, you can see how much space the item description would take. That helps you to make sure that you position things so it looks very professional when you're done. In this case, what I think I'm going to do is the quantity is on top, and then underneath it is the price. I'm going to take that quantity, I'm going to click on it, and then I am going to move it over to the left a little bit. The only reason I'm doing that is that way the quantity is now over top of the quantity heading, and the price now is in a sort of in a column all by itself. So as you can see, it shows you in real time what all that looks like. Say we want to take a look one more time with, you can turn the grid on, make sure it looks okay. This acknowledgement here in gray letters, that's really another resource. It's another image file. It's kind of in our way right now. So what I'll do is I'll just click on it. So it positions me over here to that image, and I'm going to click on a little box that says suspend. So that way it's still in the template, but it is hidden from view right now. So I can take a better look and make sure, yes, I like the way things are lined up. So I'll go ahead and turn my grid off, and then I will make that acknowledgement visible again. Some of the other cool features I found is you can, for instance, when you design something like this section in the top right, where the date and page are at, those are many individual elements, as there's the actual date, the word page, the actual fields themselves, the box around the headings, and even this one little vertical line. Well, what I did was I put those in a section by themselves and make sure that I like the way that they are adjusted to each other. And then if I need to, I can take that whole fixed area and I could move it all as a group if I so need to. So let me show you what that looks like. That's not quite right. I think I'll move it over a little bit more. There, that looks better. So you can see just how easy it is to move things around once you've got them there. Another section here where it says order acknowledgement, that's also another fixed area I designed. The box around the whole thing is actually drawn by the software. So you can change it. its size. You can also do some other things, such as, for instance, if I wanted to make the line a little bit bigger, oh, that's a little bit too much. I can make the width of that line. I can change it on the fly. I can turn that box has got sharp edges. If I don't like that, I can always change round the corners a little bit so you can see as you're doing it exactly what that looks like. So you can see in real time, make sure you like your changes, see how it is. The fonts that are used are standard TrueType fonts. And so all you have to do is just make them available to the software. So what I did was I just went and got all the TrueType fonts on my laptop and said, here, I'm going to make all of them available to the software. So it was just that simple. So say that if I wanted to change the font, then right now it shows me if I click that it's on Arial, it's size 14. If I don't like that, if I want to change it on the fly, I can always do that. So now we've got a different type of font. You can always do things like this particular one is bolded right now. But if I wanted to unbold it, I certainly could do that. Say this middle line, this is not an invoice. That's important because customers tend to get confused about that. So to make it stand out even more, I think what I'm going to do is I'll change the color code on that. It shows you all the basic colors, but really it uses the RGB color code. So you have pretty much an infinite number of colors you can choose from. So I'm just going to make it red so it really pops. One other thing that you can do, for instance, is this bottom section, the detail, I made that into an area called a flow area. What that means is that, let me show you, I guess would be the easiest way for me to show you, is if I remove some of those elements, like warehouse, for instance, is not real important for me to show that to the customer. So I can just hide them. And when I do that, notice that all the lines then moved up. So there's no ugly blank area there. So that's another trick of the design that I use to help make it easier to make changes. Let's look at, let's say, barcodes. Let's add a barcode. So I'm going up to the top, put my cursor on the barcode icon, and I'm going to add it, let's say, right here. Okay. Let's say that barcode should be the order number. So what I'm doing is I'm just clicking on the order number so I can bring it up to the left here, and I can see what the actual attribute name is. I'm going to do a copy of that. Now I'm going to go down to where my barcode was, and I can just say, all right, I'm going to say that this is an XPath because it's coming from the XML document. That's the name of the attribute I want. And then what kind of barcode do I want? Let's say all the standard barcodes are available to us. I'm just going to pick one at random. And let's see. Oh, one thing I didn't like is the fact that I didn't put that in the area I wanted to in the template. So I'm going to copy it out of there. Really what I wanted to do was put it up in this heading area. So I'm going to paste it in right there. Okay, and there it is. I am going to move it. I don't like that area, so I can move it. So as you can see, I kind of put it over top of the place where the address line might go over top of it. So I think I'm going to go and grab it, and I think that's not a good place for it. Whoops. So let me go back here. Well, my designer has a technical difficulty. But anytime you want to see what the output looks like, I don't know what just happened. Boy, that's really weird. Let me start over here. Because that's what happens when you do things in real time, huh? I'm not going to save that. Let me bring back the original because I didn't make any change. I didn't save any of my changes. So anytime you want to take a look and see what does it actually look like as far as the finished PDF, you can click on the PDF button. And then what it does is it will automatically then make it a PDF so that you can look at it right on the fly. So that way you can see exactly what it would look like if the software was, for instance, if you had set up to email the software directly to a customer. Okay, I think I've done enough damage to my template. So now I am going to turn it over to you, Carlos, and you can talk about the other areas of the InterForm software. The one thing I didn't really mention was after we get this template all done, then we take the template, the images that it's using, and the fonts, we upload them to the IBM server, and then at that point we create workflows, and the workflows is what determines where it's going to go as far as whether it's printed or emailed or what have you. So Carlos, it is all yours.
Hey, thank you, Vic. Can everyone see a screen that says product along the top?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right. I thought I'd just get thanks, Vic, for that presentation. And whenever we do a live presentation, we do sometimes end up either from I actually saw your screen start to lag at the end of that. So hopefully we won't see too many lags through this part of the presentation. I just thought I'd bring everybody up to speed on some of the features that that InterForm supports, and then I'm going to step you through some of the areas that these features actually use. So this platform is designed fully in Java, and actually the newest version is Java with .NET, and so that gives you an idea that this product is not written in RPG using DDS type of application. It is definitely a client/web application. Everything that is interfaced into InterForm comes through as XML input. But as long as you have a spreadsheet, you have a form, you have anything that you can actually convert into XML, can be used with this product to generate forms and do distribution. It is a fully global solution. You don't need a single byte version versus a double byte version. All the details that you will find available to you support a full global solution right out of the box, because it does have a full font and color availability built into the product. We have a customer that has an off-colored orange background as their color for all their logos, and it's how the business is represented. And with typical AS400 products, they could never get the color coding for their logos to print properly. They could never get the background colors they wanted. With InterForm, they could go and specifically pick the right color and fonts that they needed at any point in time. So it was a huge win for InterForm. Like Vic said, it has full image support. It'll support all these different types. And although Vic showed you the designer as a client, I'm going to show you a quick interface for the designer as a web interface. It's just going to be a snapshot image because that is actually coming out next week. Whatever you design into the form is not when Vic showed you that you had the XML off to the right. You can also pass information from the workflow processor to the form and add additional content, as well as pass information out of the form back to the workflow and make it very variable as far as how you want to generate your forms based on conditions, and you can change the output on the fly. The product that you get is a complete print, label, barcode, archive, FTP, and email solution out of the box. There is some add-ons that are available, but typically those are special case. For example, they have a whole automotive piece that is available, and this product is continually being improved. While Rick showed you the Infor products, this product actually is interfaced with Microsoft Dynamics, with SAP, Oracle. There is any number of different ERPs that are actually using this product. And this is because the product is definitely agnostic to the software. It allows you to set up InterForm as a separate function to whatever your ERP is. And as long as I can generate a text file, XML or CSV type of process, InterForm can read it, and you can have one product supporting all your different product lines. So if you happen to have Oracle as a specific ERP as well as XA, you could utilize one form package to do it all versus having several different ones associated with the ERP. So from a user interface, this is what InterForm used to look like when they first started on the iSeries. It was a green screen development, very similar to what you would see with the other competitors. Then they went to the designer that Vic was showing you, which is client-based. So that means anyone that has to design has to have the client installed on their system. But it's very functional. It's very fast. It works really well. But as of next week, we are getting the web designer. The web designer has all the same functionality, except you don't have to have the client installed on your desktop. So when we are talking about a product that is not your old green screen developed type of application, and we are talking about one that is either client-based with a Windows background or web-based, we are right now looking at the best in breed for this type of application. Even the workflow, which in today's setup, this is the current version, looks a little bit more what I would call text-based. You put in your rules and you put in your conditions and you write it all out. As of next week, you are going to have a workflow that is graphical. So this modern design that is being brought to the table is very much up to date to what the industry expects. It is no longer a text-based, it is no longer green screen. It is a web-based workflow that is really easy to read and understand. When Vic said that you had to upload whatever you build into the IFS, really it's a drag and drop into a folder. It is not some kludgy, have to create a save file that does a restore, that does all types of different functionality within the iSeries. It is really a drag and drop into the correct folder. The one thing that is required for the IBM partners out there is the spool to XML 400. So for that design that Vic created, You start off with an acknowledgement or a PO that looks very similar to what you have on the left-hand side. But then they have this full to XML, which converts it into XML format. So it actually takes your regular print, whatever that might look like, and converts it into XML. Once it's in XML, then you can feed it into the designer to make modifications, or just process it and run against a already produced template. On top of what you have seen with that spool file that we looked at, you also have SQL capability. This is not a hard-coded development application within the designer. This is something that you can build, that you can specify whatever fields that you want to build or extract from your XA database and add them to the XML template, and that way it's available without you having to go in and do any changes to the DDS to make that information available. So there's a full drill back capability. But because it's SQL, you can do selects, but you can also do updates. So the power of the SQL as the driver to do data retrievals and data updates is very huge in our landscape. It's just not a drill back capability. It is also a put back capability. So when I'm taking a look at the form, we talked about taking an XML and we can move around and create images. And so Vic did a really good job of showing you how you can move an image into the format, and showed you how to work with a text box. And there's a special coding for page numbers. So even though you may receive something that says page 1, it can analyze how many pages in total and actually give you a value like page 1 of 3 instead of just showing page 1. You can easily include language translation. So let's say that I am sending something to Canada into the French Canadian territory. You could actually go through and say, if this is being shipped to Canada, make sure that all the headings are in French. And there's a very easy function that you can set up which says wherever you see item, replace that with article or whatever the name might be in French, and it would automatically replace that as you are sending the form to a French Canadian territory. Once again, I mentioned that this was a Unicode capable, so you could go through and actually add Chinese characters where needed, or in the case where I got actually some Russian as well, it's all supported without any problem. You can put in your watermarks, you can put in all that, and you can do it all conditionally based on the form. So if there is a XPath tag that you can look at, you can change the values at will to make the form exactly what it is that you want to do with it, as well as include URL links or images from catalogs, etc. So it's hugely powerful in the capability of pulling in information and making it what you want. So although we've talked about XML being the format, the XML can come in as raw XML, but it can also come from a database, it can come from a file system, it can come from a web service, it can come from a message queue. As long as we are able to pull in an XML, the inputs can be just about from anywhere. To the point where even if I took raw XML from a system link transaction, I could take that into this and actually format some kind of a form from it and send it out as a report, as an email, archive it, whatever. So the key is, as long as I can make it into XML, it's limitless as to what your inputs are to this application. So as Rick showed earlier on, you start off with information coming from the host, but you can send information directly to a user workstation The sales department may get an invoice that looks one way versus the accounting department that gets one that's slightly different. It could be that we extract the items off of that and just generate labels. So you can actually break things down based on a single form to do different things for different people. As mentioned before, the workflow now is going to become graphical, but you can take a look and said, in this case here, I brought in something from a REST API. It went through the process, and from that process, I'm going to either print or email. And it's very easy for you to set up and specify how you want that information to be distributed. And because it's graphical, it's very easy to make out where your information is going. So output, of course, can be, from our standpoint, I'm going to first talk about output being a PDF, because that's probably most important. You can archive the information any way you want. I've included a couple of images over to the right, which actually show you that when I created a PO, I put the PO number there, but also the name of the company and the buyer. So that way, if I had to do a search or retrieval, I can do it by company or vendor. I can do it by the buyer, or I can do it by the PO number. That information is up to you as to how you want to tailor the name of the PDF. So if vendor wasn't quite, or vendor name wasn't quite as important as vendor number, you could replace that right in the XML that you are building, and you set it up to go ahead and put the information out for searchability. Same thing for the CO. We had the CO number, we have the customer number and name. So it's very easy for us to set up easily searchable PDFs if you do not have a fully complete document management system available to you. So that's part of the PDF naming. But you can do file authentication, you can establish bookmarks and links. Anything that you can do with a typical PDF, you can do within the software, up through and including the email and archiving of that PDF. The advanced PDF function, which is an add-on, allows you to do merging of multiple PDFs into one. For example, you can do encryption and digital signatures. And something like embedding sometimes comes in really important for some folks that have numerous pages of, let's say, either certificates of compliance or TNAs or any type of legal document that should be included with a PO, where you could actually include that as a click on a PDF. So when they click on it, it brings up the embedded PDF as well. So it looks like one document got sent out when actually multiples got sent out. So that's a pretty cool feature, but that is an add-on. From emailing standpoint, it supports all types of different things with emailing. But probably the one takeaway from an email is that you can tailor the templates that you are sending out very easily. It's just another document that you put in your substring and specify that this specific email is going to go out to, let's say, vendors in California, and so you want to do something special for them. You can actually set up a email page that is specific to all California versus the rest. So setting up different templates for emailing is a very simple thing. It can be done on the fly, and very powerful to allow you to manage the content that you are sending to your customers. Printing, there is no, really there is no lack of possibilities with how you want to print. Most of the printing is done through PCL printers, but you know, they do, actually InterForm has a strategic partnership with several different print manufacturers, Zebra being one of them. And anything that is brought to the table by Zebra, they work extensively with InterForm to make sure that any new types of things that come out are supported fully by the product. So they are well ahead of the game when it comes to all the different types of print barcodes, labels that need to be generated in the industry. So speaking of which, there is a whole piece about label printing that you should be aware of. A lot of folks, because it's an add-on to many other products, do not utilize, let's say, IntelliChief's label printing because they already had it and they didn't want to add something new. Whereas here, you can actually combine everything under InterForm and begin to reduce your application's footprint. There is advanced logging that occurs, so it's very easy to search and find if any issues occur. And at that point, I'm turning it back to Rick. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Carlos.
Okay, Rick, we got a few questions that came in throughout that presentation.
All right, if you can give me just 2 minutes here, Elsa, then we will get into those questions.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I just want to summarize for you guys real quick. First of all, anytime we talk about software that will be coming out, we of course have to put up the Infor disclaimer. So there's no big deal there. That's the standard thing you see all the time. But what we want to do is make sure that you understand that InterForm is a supportive company. They have been upgrading their software on a regular basis. There's a new release coming out next week. For those of us that have been using some of the other forms packages for a while, that's not something that we have seen. So we're very excited that they're keeping that up to date. The distribution method is one piece of software that creates the form, distributes it, and has the ability to archive it. The PDF you just saw from Carlos, it is just one piece of software that manages all those things that you might have many types of software to do now. The distribution is also varied. You can send multiple forms at the same time to different type of documents. It does not need to be the same form, or it can be. And if you need something more complicated than just distributing the form, the workflow manages that. So you've seen all this. I'm just hitting some of the highlights. Last thing I want to show you is that this software is available both on-prem and on the cloud. It is the same software. So there isn't one version or another version or something that you need to work on. We support a number of our customers are already moved to the cloud. We are supporting through this same software both of those functions. The software that you have just seen has to do with two pieces of license code from InterForm. Now this is available through Infor. It will sell on Infor paper. It is supported by Infor, and it has the ability to have all your same support merged into the same vendor capabilities. So yes, InterForm is the author, but this is Infor, legal Infor software as a part of your XA package. So the developer that you saw is called the InterForm NG. The interface into the IBM comes from Spool to XML 400. Those are your two license codes. And for those of you that are interested, Guide Technologies is just completing a forms pack. Any standard form that comes out of XA, you don't have to write all this. If you choose, you can buy the forms pack from us. Basically, you saw a customer order, an acknowledgement that came up for Vic, and all he did was put our guide logo on it. You can do that. You could put on page 2 your terms and conditions. Boom, you're done. You don't have to develop all that stuff. This is not a required purchase, but we want you to know that Guide Technologies has developed and will continue to support additional forms and additional capabilities that will come out in the forms pack. So that is something that's available to you. The InterForm that you just saw, though, are these two pieces of license code. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to summarize real quick what you had seen. Quick advertisement for our next part 3 and part 4 of our web series. And with that, Elsa, I will turn this back over to you, and I'll leave this up so people can write that down.
Okay. Our first question is from a customer who is currently running Formtastic and Artforms, specifically for auto-release labels. And they would like to know what is the advantage of replacing the two systems with what we presented today.
Not sure who you're directing that to, but I will, first thing that I will answer is that I'm not asking anybody to give up something that they have and they work and is happy. So there is no reason that you have to convert if everything that you are doing is working. What we're offering is a more robust form system, one that is the go forward product and one that is getting regularly maintained. It is also a single vendor, a single product, rather than having label and software forms and distribution packages. So I don't know if anybody, Carlos or Vic, if you want to say anything, but from my standpoint, I'm not asking you to change. We're offering you a new alternative.
Yeah, but the only thing that I might add to that is I wouldn't mind having a conversation with whom asked that question in regards to what their annual licensing fees are for their entire forms capability and how they use it, to see if by going down to one with this new product, InterForm, makes sense in the long run, where there might be a huge potential for some ROI. So it'd be a further discussion, but I think taking a look at it holistically, based on your current use, cost, and functionality, it would be an interesting conversation to have.
Great. Okay, this next question is around data formatting. Can you control date formatting as we have business units using day, month, year, year, month, day, etc.? And then they go on to ask, we have an environment where we have 4 different languages. Can we control which language appears on the document?
I would respond to that as yes and yes. Based on specific information, as I mentioned in my part of the discussion, where we could actually go through and do like language translation, based on if you found a specific Canadian territory that you were shipping to, you can also do that by country code, so that if you are shipping something to Germany, instead of it being month, day, year, it becomes day, month, year. And it could all be in German if you are able to set up the dictionary in these simple files that you have in the background. So it's entirely possible to make it entirely different to which countries you are sending your forms to.
Okay.
Also, one thing,
Sure.
that includes the pictures that are put on the forms. Those pictures that Vic showed you can be data sensitive. So if you had a different logo for your German operation than you did for your Canadian operation, you could actually put different logos on the form. So it's not just the dates and the language, you actually control the content.
All right. Next question is, how is data generated into XML? Do you start with a spool file?
The answer to that is actually you start off with a printer file. And the printer file is what generates the XML tags that are then, when you have the spool to 400 XML, goes through and aligns the values on the spool file to the XML generated printer file, and that is what you use throughout the process.
Okay. Is the product directly interfaced to PowerLink, where you can launch the PDF or Excel doc? And are the forms stored in IBMI?
If I have a PO that has been converted to InterForm, when I execute the option to run the host print to print a PO, it would go through the InterForm process and do what you have specified in the workflow for it to do. So if you tell it to print, it's going to print it. If you tell it to print and archive, it's going to do both. If you tell it that you want to email it as well, it's going to do that. The archiving out of the box is typically right on the IFS on the IBMI.
Okay. This is a good question. How do you get tech support for this product? Is it through Infor? Is it through InterForm? Is it through Guide?
Tech support would be, if you purchase this through Infor, it would go through Infor Extreme the same as any other product. However, level 2 support would come from InterForm. That is a standard for any of Infor's products that are developed by an outside lab. So that would be consistent. You would have both. If you bought this directly from InterForm, which a couple of our customers have, then your support would be from InterForm, but you're also paying that separate license fee to a separate vendor. So it all depends on where you purchase this from, how you purchase it, but Infor Extreme will be the first response for anybody buying it on Infor paper.
Okay. Dovetailing onto that, how does the licensing work? One set license per power system, per user, per site?
The licensing is by partition, at least on the iSeries.
Okay. Do we have, that's a good question, average implementation and training time, and average cost of software itself?
We do not have on this call average cost of software. I highly encourage you to make a phone call or send an email to your account exec inside of Guide Technologies. We may have people outside of Guide, but inside of Guide Technologies, that's going to be either Chuck Giaffre, Randy Park, or Andrew Disman. Please contact them to get pricing information specific to you. And if you are outside of the Guide family, feel free to contact me, Rick Altenow, and I will send you to the right people. As far as implementations, I will leave that to the implementation expert, Carlos.
There is, when the customers that we have been involved with on this, that there is about 3 to 4 days worth of training where they go through the designer and workflow capabilities that get you started, and then there is phone support that they provide as you run into situations that might be a little bit different than what they were trained on. So they've been very open into providing feedback as to how to do a certain thing that might be a one-off from what the training provides. And the training that has been provided to the customers is typically half days over a 4-day period.
Okay. Can you customize the form's file name? First 5 characters of the vendor, for example.
Are we talking what we output to the when we archive a PDF? If that's the question, yes, you can customize that to fit your needs.
Okay. Scroll down here. Pricing. Can we import existing forms from the TLA forward to InterForm? TLA SH forward to InterForm.
Yeah, if you are using TL Ashford, ACOM, whatever you're using, none of those things actually integrate back. There is no import tool to take it to InterForm.
Okay. And then we have a question, Rick, you might be able to shed some light on this. For those of us that currently have InterForm through auto release, will we have this solution with the InterForm name? The customer believes that InterForm was created by InterForm and InterForm was the US name.
That's an excellent question, and I do not have the answer to that. I don't know if you noticed on the second slide that came up at the beginning of the presentation, we had Peter Sorensen's name on there. He is the CEO of InterForm and has helped us to develop this process. We will follow up with him and get an answer. If you would, if you have my email, please send that to me and I will follow up on that. If you need it, it's raltanow@guidetechnologies.com.
Okay, well, it looks like we are at the top of the hour here, and I'm not seeing any more questions. So with that, we'll wrap it up, and thank you all for joining. The recording will be sent out either later today or tomorrow morning. And as Rick said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Rick or your Guide account manager if you are a part of the Guide family. I'd like to thank Carlos and Vic and Rick all for your time, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks, Elsa.
Thank you, Elsa.